And I'm now going to go back into my moderator mode and let you know that we are now at our last session for the day. So I would actually like to welcome back Leah Burgess and Justine Hrvatin, Carolyn Cage, and Teresa Belluscio. To remind you, Leah is an education consultant in the Department of Special Education at Vanderbilt University, and Justine is an education consultant in the Department of Special Education at Vanderbilt University. So they both work with Dr. Otham on the Transition Pathways Project. Leah, Justine, Carolyn, and Teresa have collected a series of videos of students and family members who are willing to share their experience of participating in one of the two studies presented here today. I think you've heard from a lot of us, the supports, the staff, but we've all discussed how important it is to make sure that we listen to student input as well as the family input, and wanted to make sure that we got to hear their experiences. So now, while the students could not while the students or their supports could not be with us today, we will be taking questions for the presenters. So if you have questions for them during the video, please, again, drop them in the Q&A. And I will now let them introduce their video, starting with Carolyn and Teresa.
Okay. The video was that we're sharing is that of students with my students that I served at Booker T. Washington High School and Oscar Smith in Norfolk, and Oscar Smith High School in Chester.
And this is Teresa. We have 4 students presenting today, and all 4 of these students were from Jessamine County in Kentucky from the Providence School. So we have Layden, we have Caden, we have Jaden. These are all Rob for some reason, and then her sister. So you'll see each one of these 4 talk.
My name is Leah Ivina, and I am 17 years old, and I am in the 12th grade, and I am a senior.
My name is Caden Woods. I'm from the Providence School. I'm a junior, and I study for diesel mechanics.
My name is Destiny Lavasser. I'm a sophomore at the Providence School in Nicholasville, Kentucky. I am Jada Lavasser. I'm a sophomore at the Providence School in Nicholasville, KY.
Yeah, my name is Landon Holmes. I am a sophomore at the Providence School.
My name is Colin Quick, Oscar Smith High, 10th grade.
What did you think about work before you participated in our program?
I didn't really know what real jobs there were. It took me a little time to look for different jobs. My dad works as a diesel mechanic, so I wanted to be like him.
Before I took the study, I always wanted to be a teacher. Like, there was just something about it. And then, like, after we took the trips and stuff, I didn't know, not before, but before the study, I didn't know how to maintain a job or keep one, or like the work-ready skills. So before that, that's what I was looking for coming into it. But after that, I learned the things I needed to learn to have a good job and maintain a job. Before I participated in the study, I was scared of how to react working. But once I did finally realized about the workspace, it kind of opened my mind to how I would react and how everything else would go. So I kind of prepared to go into the workspace.
To be honest, I didn't think about what I could do and what I would do. I just thought I'd be at home just sitting, doing nothing.
So you didn't really think about what was going to happen after high school?
Yeah, I thought work was boring because school, I don't like it, but I have to do it.
Well, did participating in the study help you think about your future or work or something you'd like to do?
I want to be a babysitter to babysit little kids or whatever age, because I want to be a babysitter someday. a childcare provider someday too?
I definitely thought more about what I wanted to do, like maybe like do like some sort of military work or like mechanic work, technician work.
Before the study, I wanted to be a teacher. But after, going through this study, I've learned maybe that's not for me and I don't have the skills to be a teacher. So when we took the field trips to the tattoo place, I loved how he talked about owning his own business and how you can do that. So now I kind of just want to own my own business.
Yeah, it opened my mind. So in the future, I wouldn't have to worry about the jobs that I could potentially go into, but I would know the jobs that I would want to go into. So.
Yeah, actually opened my eyes to the real world.
So what was your favorite part about our program, about learning about work?
It was learning about what kind of different jobs there are and like what you could do. It was fun.
I like going to the tattoo place and RJ Corman, but overall I liked how I learned how to maintain work readiness skills and how I can get a good job and keep a good job for long term.
My favorite part about learning about work was how to act appropriately and how to dress appropriately. So on the first day I wouldn't embarrass myself.
Yeah, sitting in the plane actually made me feel like I was an actual pilot flying in the air. It actually made me want to try to be a pilot when I get older.
I really liked going to the Dollar Tree factory, seeing people deliver plain boxes in the truck.
Was that a job that you decided you wanted to do or didn't want to do?
Didn't want to, no,
Why?
because it's too loud.
Too loud, okay. What's your favorite part about working?
Getting money.
I can imagine that. Is there anything else that you want to learn about getting a job in the future?
To learn how to greet people more, to take good, teach, learn from others, and doing the work without being told to.
Definitely business management. Like I might want to make my own job, a work, a vehicle shop or something like that.
There's nothing I would want to know now, but eventually once I do get into higher positions, I would.
Knowing how to talk to the customers nicely.
Hi, I'm Melanie Quick, mother of Colin Quick, who's a student at Oscar Smith High School.
What other experiences would you like your son to have to prepare for employment?
I really would, I like him to get as much experience in just knowing how to socialize with adults and same age peers, especially same age peers. He seems to kind of close down. So I would like to see him get more experience with just socialization, I guess, so that, any place of work that he may encounter as an adult, he will be able to fit in and be able to welcome and talk appropriately to anyone he may encounter, whether it's other coworkers or customers that come into wherever he happens to have employment at. And this program definitely helped, prepare him for work ethic and just knowing how to answer, interview questions. He's working at the Hitching Post. It's a coffee shop in Chesapeake. He is really enjoying it. And so far I've gotten good compliments from his employer about how he's greeting customers, giving them compliments, making sure that they're happy with the food and coffee that they've been served. So yeah, he's really enjoying it.
How would you like vocational rehabilitation services to collaborate with you, with Colin, and with Colin's teachers to better prepare him for work?
Basically, I guess just like involving me more into what goes on when he's at the school, and whatever future things that you guys will be doing with him, just so that I'm more aware of everything. Like I was able to talk with him about that you guys help him with interview questions, how to dress and all of that stuff when he's going for a job. I guess just like making me more aware of like what is gonna be going on in the future with him working in this with DARS and everything, just so that way I can also do things at home to help further what you guys are working with him at school, or any other things that you guys may be doing with him through other programs or anything like that.
Is with your busy schedule, with your work schedule, what is the most effective way that you feel like you can participate, or how a DARS counselor or the teachers who are helping him prepare for employment can communicate with you? How can we engage you with your busy work schedule, like many parents who are working parents?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely be reached through my text message or email, but text message is easier just because like I get so many emails. So text message is easier because it lets me know right away when someone needs to be in contact with me. Even though I do have a work schedule, it's pretty, I can make it pretty flexible, being that I work at night when most people are at home asleep.
Mhm.
So even though I can, I can do many things even tired. I've done it for many years, for sure.
All
So
right.
yeah. So definitely, I would say the best way to reach me is through text, so that I know that whoever, whether it be one of your representatives or some, an instructor from school, that they want to involve me or let me know something, text message is best way to reach me for sure.
Thank you again, Teresa and Carolyn, for collecting all of those videos and interviewing students and parents. Leah and Justine, I'll turn it over to you guys now.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. This is Leah Burgess with Vanderbilt University. I am an interventionist staff on the Transition Pathways Project that you heard Dr. Jessica Awesome discuss earlier this afternoon. I have dark blonde hair. I'm wearing a black floral shirt, and I have a blurred background. And I'm going to share a video about my student, Dalton. And in this vignette, Dalton's support team will share his experiences of coming together to help him reach his employment goal. Brandy Hayes, the work-based learning coordinator, will discuss how she connected with employers and advocated for Dalton in a rural community. And Dr. Lindsay Dixon will talk about her experiences hiring Dalton and working with students with disabilities. Lastly, we will hear from Dalton as he discusses his employment and how he enjoys working at Smith County Animal Clinic.
My name is Dr. Lindsay Dixon. I'm the owner at Smith County Animal Clinic, a practice that we started in Carthage, Tennessee in 2009. And so we've been here ever since. We're a small animal practice, mainly dogs and cats.
My name is Brandy Hayes, and I'm the IEP Transition Coordinator here at Smith County High School.
My name is Dalton. I'm 19. I work at Smith County Vet Clinic, and I like it here.
Originally, this was posed to me from the IEP director at the high school. She put out a Facebook post and said, I have a student who desires to work, and we would like to find a place that would work good for him.
Dalton is a student here at Smith County High School, and his employment goals were to get a job and be happy in that job and make some money. I posted on Facebook and I said, is there anybody that will hire a student in my classroom with special needs that has these great abilities and I want him to have a job. We're working with Vanderbilt through a grant, and several people answered, and one in particular, she Facebook messaged me and she said, I want to do it, let me get involved, and that was Dr. Dixon from the vet clinic.
As a business owner, my job is more than being a veterinarian, and part of it is interacting with the community and building the community and building people, and my staff are my people, and so I pour a lot into them, and so I felt like this was a good opportunity for me to be able to integrate someone into the workforce that needed that.
I love my boss, and they've been good to me, and I like everybody who work here.
When Dalton came in, he came in with not much work experience at all, and so we kind of started from the ground up. His job really entails a lot of cleaning, honestly. We have a boarding facility here, and so he makes sure that our laundry is kept up, that our outdoor grounds are kept in good shape, and that our kennels stay clean, fresh, and smelling good all the time.
There were a couple of supports that Dalton needed to be successful in his job placement. We started by applying to Voc Rehab and getting him the support he needed with a job coach that could stay with him at the job site and walk him through some of the task lists. We set him up with a visual schedule and a task list so that he could report to a manager when all the stuff was checked off his list.
I didn't really know what I was getting into when this was first posed to me, but I'm always open for a challenge, and it was that. We had to learn the specifics of his abilities, and we had to try to find out what was his strengths and where we could put those into play. Very much making sure that he had a supportive work environment and safe work environment, and one where he could grow and where he could learn. And so we were able to do that, I feel like, very successfully.
Everything I do works. I play dogs and wash the dishes, scoop poop, clean dog kennels, and towels, water, and outside, and laundry, fold towels, next door, check mark. Dr. Dixon helped me do this list.
I think it's so important for students with disabilities or young people in general to have a job because they learn so much from that. Dalton has grown. I mean, you think of the scenario of the caterpillar going into the butterfly, like that is Dalton. When he got here, he had no work experience, but he had a great attitude and he wanted to work. And that, to me, like, that really speaks to me because, for one, I hope that people would treat my own children that way, but they have to be given a chance. And Dalton is very helpful here, and he has found his role, and there's no reason that he couldn't be integrated into the workforce. And whether he stays here forever or whether he goes somewhere else, my hope is that he would be able to take the skills, the basic skills that he learned here, and not only that, but think of it as a positive experience that he had. To know that I can fit into the work environment, to know that I can have colleagues who support me, to know that, when I go home, I can still use these skills that I've learned here when and if I move on to another job or wherever he goes from here, that hopefully he would be able to say, that was a good thing in my life and I made good connections there, because it's so much more than the tasks that he learns here. It's so much more than sweeping and mopping. It's that whole enrichment that he gets from that.
Dalton is a very social student, and so when the opportunity came up for him to work at a vet's office, we thought that would suit him very well. He also loves animals. The reason that I wanted to work with the youth with severe disabilities is because when I would go into a place of employment and I would see people working in that position, it made me happy, and it made me want to make sure that was happening for everybody that I could make it happen for.
We found what his abilities were and we put him in those roles. You do that with employees who don't have disabilities either. You find their strengths and you put them in those roles. And that's exactly what we did with Dalton. Dalton interacts with our clients the same, not in different ways, but Dalton is able to interact with our clients, and our clients love him. Dalton is able to take care of some of our patients, and that is fulfilling for him. And Dalton is very useful in this setting. He has tasks that we know every day Dalton's going to get those done, and he knows how to do them well now. And so it's just a matter of finding out what their abilities are and putting them there.
I feel good to go work. I like care of animals. I keep on working here. I put my money saving for boat.
All right, and as Leah pulls up our next video, I will introduce myself and the next person that we will be featuring. My name is Justine Hrvatin, and I am also an interventionist on the Transition Pathways Project at Vanderbilt. I am a white female with blonde hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt. I have a blurred background. This next video is about Hannah and her experience working at Bricks Pizza, a restaurant in Franklin, Tennessee. Hannah has been working at Bricks for almost 2 years. Her mom, Susan Schrupp, discusses how Hannah obtained her job at the restaurant and the benefits of Hannah working. Hannah's employer, who will also be in the video, Mark Hanman, he owns Bricks Pizza, and he talks about Hannah's job duties, her work environment, and how he employs multiple people with disabilities. It should be noted, though, that in this video, Hannah prefers to show her job duties rather than talk about them. And you can go ahead and play it, Leah.
At Bricks Pizza, it's a franchise. I opened it up in 2011. We just been involved in the community and wanted to be a community-based restaurant that was, family run, family owned and operated.
This fit has been really good for Hannah because we've been customers probably since she was in the 2nd grade. And so the fact that we've been here in a familiar setting, additionally, her brother, Stephen, worked here for 4 years. So we know a lot of the workers, we know the owner, and that's really helped her feel more comfortable about being around the people without her family present. And she's been on board with Bricks for about 1 year and 8 months now. So her original tasks were helping out with doing the prep kitchen work, and she's expanded her responsibilities to now rolling silverwares, cleaning menus, folding bags, and various other tasks that they've invited her to do. So, and she's done very well with continuing to expand upon the tasks that she can do at Bricks Pizza.
Hannah comes in several days a week, and she just kind of assists us with things like rolling silverware, folding kids menus, lots of the stuff that we used to do as managers and the owner at the front door when we were waiting for guests to come in, and now Hannah's kind of helping us with that role. She folds some bags for us, pizza boxes.
The Vanderbilt Transitions Pathway Program was really helpful in terms of providing guardrails and support for Hannah to be able to be successful in her job and have the opportunity to be able to grow and learn, but it was really helpful to us getting it established in a time frame. It may have taken us longer to actually secure it. So I love the idea of the program, as well as her teacher in high school being part of that equation to take the end-to-end project and be able to make it happen for her.
The one thing about the restaurant business is different than a lot of other businesses. It can be very stressful and very different at times. So, having these young men and young ladies work for us brings a lot more joy to the work, because she comes in every day in a great mood. They enjoy what they're doing, and they're just happy to be involved. So it kind of takes away some of that stress.
Long-term goals would be just making sure that she continues to be a life learner, but then also being able to expand additional job opportunities to see what really she likes the best. She will tell us what she likes, but I think it's very abstract for Hannah to describe what a job is. The hands-on ability to see a job and then to be able to ask her if she likes it, is just really, I think, where we can further expand that ability for her to be more employed. So we would love it if she were able to live independently someday, or even with a group setting or with another roommate. The other thing we would love for her to be able to do is, again, be able to help in the community or have a job that really continues to keep stretching her skills.
Well, I think it brings a sense of self-worth, and it also makes them feel like everybody else. Because, again, in particular in our location and in our environment, they're treated just like everybody else. So no special treatment, no different expectations. You know, they do everything we do. So I think they just enjoy coming to work and being around people and helping out.
In terms of Hannah's life, she knows she needs to be prepared and well for her job and wearing her uniform. She also has recently really expressed interest in buying things specifically and using money. And so being able to equate to the fact that she gets a paycheck and then translating into that things that she wants to buy has been really helpful for her to see that reward. Positively for Hannah is that others can see her ability. And I think that we see it at home every day and know what a contributor she is to our household, but having others be able to see that. I've had many of her coworkers just be able to say, I'm surprised at how fast she can work and how well she works. Her quality of her work is good. Her reliability is good. So all those things I think demonstrates that somebody with Hannah's disability can contribute, and that means a ton to us. So we're very proud of her, and we can see that in her. She likes to come to work. Initially, I think at first she would say no work or this, but now I think it's just part of her routine, and I know she likes it. And that's the things we look for: is she happy and engaged? Does she enjoy coming? And that means a lot to us.
There's a lot of interaction that goes on with everybody. You know, again, she's just part of the team. In our world, there's nothing different. She's providing a service and a task that helps everybody that works here. So it's just as important as the server waiting on the table that we have these other items prepared for the guest as well. So, you know, yeah, there's no special treatment. Everybody's just family.
I like to draw the bricks.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, those are wonderful videos. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to interview everyone and to edit them together. They were beautifully done. Now, as I mentioned earlier, our students are not able to be here with us because as students, they have to be in school. However, our presenters worked closely with each of these students, and they are here to answer any questions you may have. We don't really have many in the question and answer, and I'm going to assume that's because everybody was riveted by these videos. In fact, we have one comment I do want to share that someone has witnessed Hannah at work and they love it. So thank you. You know, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to pull out one question that was actually asked during our session that we weren't able to get to, but I think would be relevant for, again, Carolyn, Teresa, Leah, and Justine. How did you guys prepare or talk about how to prepare employers for welcoming students with disabilities onto the job site, either for the community-based work experience or for work?
Do you want to start with your project, Stephanie, and then we can go to ours, or however you prefer?
Yeah. Carolyn, you ready? It looks like you're ready to go.
Well, actually, I didn't get to have a direct contact with employers. It was actually school personnel and VR personnel in my area that made contact with the employers for community-based work experience. I can say in my experiences, just as someone mentioned earlier, we talked about the importance of what the students can contribute to the work environment, how it benefits both the employer and the student who is learning about the world of work. So that's my, in my experience with contacting employers, that is basically how I approach and prepare them. And then making sure that we have all of the other logistical items like transportation, staff support, all of that covered.
And this is Teresa, so I can speak a little bit to that in Kentucky. So when we identified employers within the students' community who were willing to have us come over, we actually pre-visited them in person just to make sure we knew who at the business was going to talk, and gave them a description of our students, what we're looking for, and, you know, set up the time and the details. and then that seemed to work out really good, just having them understand, that this is an experience and what they could talk about. That really paid off because they were prepared when the students came and did a really good job. And in turn, our students asked a lot of questions when they went to visit the sites.
This is Leah Burgess, and I will echo some of the things that Brandy discussed in Dalton's video. Our role as the interventionist was to really empower the teacher or whoever was going out into the community to make those connections. So we had conversations behind the scenes of how to talk to employers, how to discuss your students' abilities, if accommodations were needed, how to discuss those accommodations. And then Dalton actually made his task list with his teacher and with his employer. So that was something that was great to see because everyone was in agreement on, was this easy for Dalton to understand? Did this encompass all of the tasks that Dalton needed to do during the day? So a lot of that was a very open conversation with the employer and with the work-based learning coordinator, Brandy, who was going out and getting the jobs.
And then in terms of Hannah, the employer spoke more through the family than us supporting the employer ourselves. Hannah's family is connected with Bricks. They tend to hire people with disabilities in the local Franklin community, and it is a tight-knit community. So everyone knows each other, and the employer communicated directly with the family in terms of the support he would need for Hannah to be successful at the job.
Great. I'm going to ask another question since, of course, this session was so focused on the student and family experiences. What suggestions do you all have to providers on how to engage families more? So Carolyn, Teresa, I'll let you guys start for RS2.
Well, just as we suggested in our presentation, it's important to talk to families right at the outset, get them involved, get them engaged, find out what their thoughts are about their young person going to work. Let's talk about what the family culture, value, and attitude is towards employment to begin with, and then how they want to be involved. Because as Teresa mentioned, we had activities that are a component of the toolkit that needed to be done with families, but sometimes we didn't. Often it didn't happen, and so we need to know at the outset how families want to be engaged, how they want to participate, what they feel their role can be. And just as Mrs. Quick said, she gave very specific, text her and let her know what the needs are, and then she can make the adjustments.
And this is Teresa. So it was interesting during the study, as I had mentioned earlier, after we did some of the lessons, we sent a report. And that report basically just told what we had talked about and how the student did. And that report went to the VR counselor, the educator, and the parent. And what I thought was interesting is parents would receive these and wouldn't really contact us much with feedback or anything. But when we did have an opportunity to talk with them, like in a parent interview, they mostly just talked about what the student had talked about, which was a lot of the community-based work experience. So, I would say engaging those parents as early as possible, helping them to understand what pre-ET services are, and working with them, as Carolyn said, to talk about goals and attributes, and because they know their students the best. But at times it's also important to understand that the student may have different ideas about what they want to do than their parents, but having the parents involved is really, really important.
This is Leah Burgess. I echo what Carolyn and Teresa have said about involving the parents early and having open communication. We got really great feedback from our employment planning meeting, which we held at the beginning of the year. And one of the things in our employment planning meeting that we did is getting all of the stakeholders to the table. So we had pre-eds, vocational rehabilitation, the teacher, anyone inside the school that was supporting the student, like a speech language pathologist or occupational therapist. And we had everyone in one room for the student to discuss what they were interested in and what they wanted to do for work. And within that meeting, the vocational rehabilitation counselor or pre-employment transition specialist was able to explain to the parent, these are my services, this is what I'm able to offer through my agency. And we were able to answer questions and kind of go over the barriers and go over what would facilitate work as well in real time. And I think having all of the stakeholders at one table is extremely beneficial so that everyone leaves that meeting knowing what role they have in the student obtaining employment and knowing who to reach out to and who to communicate with when you have questions. Because oftentimes through COVID, being on Zoom is great, but oftentimes we don't have a face with a name. So being able to come back in that room and say, I'm Leah Burgess from Vanderbilt. This is going to be my role. Here are my colleagues that can help you was extremely beneficial for the parent to feel confident through the employment process.
This is Justine Hrvatin. And then to piggyback off of what Leah was saying in terms of getting everyone together in person to discuss the students' goals, something else that was successful according to our family interviews from our project was an email chain between the teacher, provider, and families of each student. It sounds simple, but families liked receiving updates from the provider and the teacher regularly on students' progress towards their goals, and in this case, their employment goals. So this way they could all work together to troubleshoot any issues that they came across during their job.
Well, this is Stephanie again, and we do have one question, which was, were you able to discuss ABLE accounts with families as part of your study? And Carolyn and Teresa, I can answer for you guys, which is no. Now that's part of as our study. We did not really discuss ABLE accounts because the pre-ets that we focused on were the job exploration, the workplace readiness. But again, that is valid information that this would kind of fall more into other areas of pre-ets. But since you were working with students who were actively seeking employment, Justine and Leah, I'm curious to find out if you guys ever talked about ABLE accounts.
Absolutely. So with our orientation that we did with teachers, we provided handouts for families and teachers that had information encompassing all things Social Security income. So ABLE accounts were listed on there. That may not have been a specific conversation that we had. Oftentimes our conversations were around reporting income and reporting benefits and how that process works and connecting them with an agency that could help in Tennessee, but ABLE accounts were listed as an option for them to explore.
It looks like we have one more question. I think we have time for it that someone put in the chat. And how did families categorize their attitudes? I'm not sure if I understand the question entirely, but perhaps like when you did engage with families, how would you describe their attitudes towards work for their child?
Well, this is Carolyn. As you can tell from the interview with Mrs. Quick, she was very interested in her son working. And what I liked was that she was really realistic about his strengths and his needs. And wanted to make sure that, he had we had the opportunity or presented activities that would allow him to address those strengths and needs. So I think she was very much pro work for her son getting more involved in employment. And clearly it's worked because he is now working part-time.
The parents that we had interaction with had a really great attitude. They really thought that their students benefited from all of these lessons and the community experience, and they were excited for them. So
This is Leah Burgess. I'll echo that as well. All of our parents were excited. Most of them echoed a very realistic goal for the student to obtain work in their area of interest. And we had very positive interactions with the parents and very supportive meetings and encounters and getting them to work.
Yes, this is Justine Hrvatin. Echoing what Leah said, all of our families were positive. Occasionally, we would have an apprehension from a parent to start with, just because they're sending their kid into an unknown environment. But once they realized that there was a support system around the student as they are going into work, the parents became more comfortable and more positive about their child going to work.
Well, thank you very much, ladies, again, for your time to bring all of those videos together and for your time today. I'm so happy that you could join us. So this is Stephanie again. I want to thank everyone who shared their comments and their questions. And again, thank you to our colleagues from Vanderbilt University and University of Kentucky. It's so meaningful to see the impact your work has had on students with significant disabilities and their families. And we're just incredibly lucky to be able to collaborate with you. And thank you to everyone who joined us today on day one of our State of the Science Conference. We look forward to having you with us again tomorrow. We have a great lineup of speakers, including insight from Dr. Paul Wayman and Dr. Wendy Parent-Johnson of VCU and Dr. Catherine Fowler from INTAC-C. They will be sharing their thoughts about how to move the field forward. So please remember to use the same link that you used today to log into the conference tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening and see you soon.